Yeah, okay. So welcome everyone. Nice to see you all at your Dreaming 22. So my name is Oleh, and today we will talk a bit about wrapper class. So first of all, I want to talk with you about sponsors. So because of them, we are here. So they are huge support to us, to our community. So thank them for this opportunity and team of your Dreaming. So my name is Oleh Mykytyn. I am a Salesforce developer architect, so I'll introduce myself on the next slide. But topic for today is wrapper class and how to use it with Lightning Web Components. So I'm 10 times certified developer and now on a path to architect, so just in transitioning or like tech lead, architect, leadership role. So I'm based in Lviv, Ukraine. So I'm leading there a group of Salesforce developers, also founded there Salesforce Saturday, and been working with uniting the Ukraine community into one Slack and like making YouTube channel where we do our streaming of our groups for all of Ukraine. I used to be Salesforce MVP for class 20 and 21. And right now my position is at Red Tech for Salesforce Tech Lead, and also starting this year about strategic relationship. So I really love to make connections, meet new people, and do this like alliances with Salesforce community. So if you're here and would like to stay in touch, so for future, if you can help each other, I would be happy to talk. Here's some contacts as well. You can follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn and my email. Okay, so what's today's agenda? So we will for sure discuss about what is wrapper class. We will see some benefits of wrapper class approach. Also, we will discuss some most common use cases of wrapper class in Lightning Web Components with some examples, and then we will talk about best practices, and I will show you some demo of how to do it and how to use it. Then we will have for sure Q&A session. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you for everyone who is supporting Ukraine, because I'm from Ukraine, and right now I'm traveling. Before the war started, I was outside, and I have this privilege to be here with you while my country and nation is suffering. But I decided to do international support and help our people like with donating money, collecting and buying all needed supplies, do some international help by presenting our nation in different communities and collecting one. So here is the link to my personal bank where we collecting money and buying some stuff. So if you like, you can join our initiative. So Salesforce also helping a bit. So I've been in contact with Trailblazer community team, with Salesforce, with Mark Benioff. So it's nice to see that many companies, especially Salesforce, is supporting us in this war with Russia. Okay, so let's go then to our topic. So what is wrapper class? So wrapper class is actually a data structure, but it's like abstract data type, which can contain different objects, some collections, different variables inside of an Apex. So it's similar to a custom object, but it's a class created in Apex. And those instances, they are kind of like different types. This is collections, primitive, or S objects, but they are only alive during transaction. Because if you have a custom object, they are saved to a database and use Salesforce storage. But wrapper class, it's similar, but in a code. And it only lives there for some period of time when it's needed. And then it's gone. So if it's clear, then we go to some benefits now. And there's some different use cases that we will see a bit later, but let's see about some benefits first. So one of a good benefit is that we can do some consolidation of data inside of wrapper class. So for example, you can imagine that we have different objects, and we want to combine it somehow with some logic and combine in one data type. And we can easily do it with wrapper class. So it actually helps us to combine different types and organize it efficiently. So we can do some calculations during this, like data organization, some data manipulation, and it's good because it's on a backend, so we can use different data types, and it makes it a bit easier with different volumes of data. So it's also a quite good approach for reusability, because we can do like unified wrapper class and use it in different requests, different approaches, and different situations when we need it. So it's really helps there. For sure, it can be used in Lightning Web Components. It was possible to use it in Aura, Visualforce, and now we use it here as well. One of good best practices is that it helps us to move our JSON, so we can convert it easily from string to object, and vice versa. There's still something we need to keep it in mind, because the structure should be the same and all of these things. But it's very easy. You don't need to parse it and do a lot of things manually, you know. So it's good benefit, I would say. Also, there is no limitations on how many wrappers can be nested in one single class, so we can build how many we want. But a bit later, I will tell about like a separate, like not inside of a class, but about separate, how it's like a recommendation, I would say. But it's a benefit that there's no limitations there. Okay, so next slide is about use cases. So here I was looking for some main use cases. There might be like many of them, but just to explain main idea, how to use it and when to use it. So here, first of all, it's what I've started talking about combining data. So for first use case, I picked up one situation when you can imagine you have two objects. You can connect them with a reference, with a lookup, but sometimes you have those objects that they don't have reference between them, and they are connected by some criteria. I don't know, some specific criteria. You can map those records. For example, like here we have product warranty or item. So item can have different warranty based on different client, different level, and different product. So it's kind of like different, but you still want to map exact warranty to exact product. And here you can do it in Apex. You can combine it. You can find those records, do some manipulations, and build your wrapper class with same structure as you want to show it in your detail page or somewhere in component. So we will see it in a demo, but just to understand idea of that. Second, it's about REST API. So sometimes you have, it's quite common when we use REST API, we receive response in JSON, and we want to operate with it. We want to save it in database, or we want just to show it in our UI for a user, and we just want to convert it. And what I love wrapper class, that it gives us possibility to convert it in one line. So we actually, it's not one line. We need to build a still wrapper for the attributes, but then actually in one line you just do a conversion. And if you do it with XML, you need to do a lot of looping through the nodes, do a lot of things there. But here it's very easy, and like no mistakes there. Why we need to use Apex for that? Because sometimes we need to connect it with database to do some things during those conversion. So we can also convert it theoretically in client side too, but it's more like you have more possibility if you do it in Apex. And last use case, it's sometimes there's like customers that they need to do some actions with their data. So you can imagine you have a list of contacts or an opportunity, and you want to select some of them and I don't know, delete them, send email to them, or do some action. And to do that, you have to create Boolean in that object. But in fact, you don't need the data to say, because it's repeatable action, and it's no value for that data if it was action done for that record or not. So basically, here is the best option will be to create a wrapper class where we will contain some fields from that object, or like whole object for whole record with a Boolean checkbox at the same instance. And then we will have a list of all of them and those checkboxes. So at the end, you just select them and do the action what you want. And it's not saved for database. So it's not use your storage and field limits, etc. So here is like a 3 use cases we will see in the demo. So wrapper classes best practices. So first of all, I want to say that using wrapper class is already best practice. So you don't need to scare that. It's fine to use it, and create Apex. But I would recommend to create a separate Apex class if possible for that, because then there is a chance that it might be reused in the future. And try to do like naming convention to do your variables in that way that it can be reused somehow. But in situations when you see it's very, very specific and there is no chance to reuse, or it's very small or something like that, you still can use it inside your class. Just the recommendation is always to put at the end. So all inner classes are at the end. So we are always trying to use OOP principles, like to keep code reusability and all structures. And as I said, just make it unified as possible. So and clean and structured for future use. So right now I have a demo. Do you have maybe some questions till now, or are we good? Okay, so I don't like to have many slides. I like more to show in action. So we have time today, so we can do it slow and see some code examples. So in fact, I have like 3 components, 3 Lightning Web components. They are quite small, but they will bring you idea so how it works. So let's add one by one to our page. Okay. By the way, I have some swag present from my company. It's traveling towels, so it's quite nice quality. So yeah, if you have quite nice questions, I think we didn't have group of people, so you don't have to fight. There's 3 of you or 5, so it's almost covered for everyone. So it's good, but still you can get it at the end. Okay, so you see I have 3 components here. Let's try with the first one. It's about or consolidate data. Let's put it somewhere on a page. Okay. Okay, so what we have here? So as you see, we have just a table with some data inside. So we have some information about our order item quantity, price, warranty date. So it seems like it's one object or something like that, but in fact it's combined from 2 objects into one, and then iterated through the list and showed it in a table. So let's see what's in the behind of the scene. I don't know, maybe I'll zoom a bit. Okay, so here we have our HTML. It's quite simple. So as you see, it's a table which is just have their like headers, and there is iteration for each for rows with the data. So here we have object, and we are just showing some data from those attributes. So it's like end date, it's a formatted date component here, is active, none, sorry, node. And here we have our JavaScript. it's also quite empty here. It's just getting some information from backend and just checking if it's like not empty, and then putting in our object, and then this data is represented in HTML. So as you see here, we have our Apex or Consolidated Data controller and get wrapper class list. And we pass some attributes from this page. So we just want to know that it's exact same order. So we just pass record ID from this page, from current order. Okay, so if we go to controller, here is a bit of logic in this class. So I will try to walk through it. So first of all, we are receiving our order ID that I mentioned, and we are trying to get all order items of this specific order by doing this so-called query. When we got this order items, we would need to query product warranties. But we want to limit and not to query all of them. We want to meet like specific product warranties that will be used in this component. So we are doing limitation by product IDs and contact IDs. Just to do it, we just need to separate those IDs to the sets, just to use them here in our query, in our where condition. So here we have our, in fact, it's lookup to contact, bill to contact ID, and product ID. So then we have our custom object product warranty, where we just found the same that we need. After that, we have some criteria, how they are mapping. So actually you see here we're already using contact and product. So basically our order item is connected with product warranty by these two IDs. So it's not only like one reference, it's actually separate objects, but it's criteria of two other records. So that's why we need to have some criteria. To make it easier, I decided to build a key where we do a map. For that key, we put just contact ID, right, and product ID. Just combine, like concatenating them in one key. And by that key, we just group in our product warranties. So later we will just give that same ID, and it will return us that product warranty record. So if you see a bit lower, there is list of instances of wrappers. So now I want to show you actually wrapper, how it looks. So as I said, if you use wrapper inside of a class, it's right to use it at the end. So here we have our inner class, and it's called our item product warranty wrapper. And here it has some fields that we will use. It's also possible that it can be like just two object type. It can be like one order item, like item like example, and like product warranty. But here I have like specific every field that will be used, not to overwhelm it with another data that's not needed. So it's order item, there's order item name, is active, quantity, there's also warranty end date, so it's already from another object, and there is like some note, and is active also from warranty object. So now we are returning to our Lightning Web Component a list of those instances, so it will be a list of wrappers. Then we iterate through them in our table. So now if you go down and see to our loop, so we will see we iterate through the order items that we queried here above. And here we are creating one instance of those wrapper. And now we need to populate it. So it's easy to populate it with order because we are looping through order, so like order item, so we already have that information in a loop. But we need to find product warranties that is in a separate place. And here we have again our keys that we prepared earlier. So we are just getting from this exact order item contact ID and product ID. So creating a key again, like local key. And now we just do an easy thing. We just like getting a product warranty from a map we created earlier by sending that key. And we're receiving our current product warranty record. So we just checking if it's not empty, and now we are populating the rest of wrapper instance from data from a warranty record. And you see we have like warranty end date that we pick from there, node, and is active. And at the end, we just adding it to a list of wrappers that will be returned to our Lightning web component. We already saw it here, so and then it's showed here in this component. We check if there's data, and then we just iterate through same object with same fields. And if you see the result, we have here order item name, quantity, unit price, warranty. So in fact, it's like half of a table is order item and half of product warranty. Does it make sense? Is it clear enough? Or okay, so this was like first use case. So I have two more to go. So here is more tricky because we have this logic that we really map it. So we're using key, mapping, all of the things. In the next two examples, it will be a bit easier. There will be just data conversion from JSON and adding a Boolean to that wrapper. But it's also common use cases. So let's add one more. Okay. So I think it's this one or the list. Okay, so we have one more component. It's a bit empty, but we have same structure. It's a table with some data inside. So in fact, it's a data from external resource. So it's a web service that receiving data and then showing it in UI. So basically, we are not saving that data in Salesforce because we don't want to use storage. We want to have updated, like always up-to-date data in our page, and we just do a call. It returns us data, and we convert it and show it here. For demo, I didn't do real call, so I just did a mock. So I actually hard-coded response, JSON type, but let me show it to you. Okay. Okay, where is it one? It's a list, so it's here. So we can just quickly look here, but it's pretty same. So it's same table iteration and just different wrapper type and fields. So if you go here, okay, sorry, it's a wrong component. This one. So it's looks pretty same. It only has here some message that for this order, and we have some message that we received from our JSON, and JavaScript looks pretty same. So if we go to this controller, we will see here a few methods. It's small ones, but let's start from first one. So it's our method that's returning actually wrapper. And here we have another method inside that is asking for a mock. So in fact, it will be called to external system, but as you see here, it's just hard-coded with some type of response. So what we have here, we have like a status, we have a message variable, we have order number, and we have array of order items that has inside also some variables like order item, external ID, name, family, SKU, order date. So to do that conversion, we need only this line, as you see here. So it's just JSON deserialize. But to do that, we need to prepare exact same data structure. So those variables should be with the same name. And then system automatically map to those names and put data inside. So if you scroll down a bit, you will see we have two wrapper classes. Why we have two? Because inside of this JSON, we have object inside object. So we have array of another objects inside here. So that's why we need to build here object, which is using object list of another wrapper here. So basically, as you see, our item is the same, and it has external order ID, it has name, family, SKU, or date, all same names. And here we have list of them, number, message, and status. So right now, we just do a conversion, we put that type of wrapper here, and it will return us the right converted object. So if you go here, it's exactly the same. So here we have order, where we have our order number from this place. And if you go to HTML, you see it's here, and we have our data message that is from this this variable, this attribute. And here we have our list of data. So this is pretty similar, like similar for last example, but it's a bit different use case how it can be used. And sometimes, in my experience, we even had XMLs, and it was very, very complex and complicated to do it for object type. So we did a lot of looping, all the things that I mentioned. But in my experience that we had XML, so we did conversion from XML to JSON and from JSON to wrapper. And it was much, much faster and easier than doing like this manipulation with XML. So hope this will be helpful. Okay, we have one more example. It's selection list. Okay, so you remember last use case, it was about, we talked about this one, data, combined data, consolidation. We talked about like REST API and JSON conversion. And now we have last one is about checkboxes and some action on your rows, like records. So if you go here, you see we have this component. Let's do it a bit smaller, it's a bit big. Let's move it here. So we have here our component, and it has some data inside as always. But one more thing that we add here is checkboxes. And those checkboxes, as you remember, I said it will be built in wrapper. So no value to data model, and we don't need to use our field limits and data storage. So that's why it will only live during transaction, and then it's gone. When it done the job, then it's just data disappeared. So you see it's working. It's no action. I will show you what's next. But let's go to a code again. And let's see what we have inside. So it's all same. So we have table. We have here our wrapper instances that we iterated. And we have here our input checkbox. It's a selected attribute. And we have some action on change that is calling our JavaScript. And there we can do some action what we need. And here just data to show description, price, etc. And at the bottom, we have, actually here it's only marked that it was checked in our wrapper. Actions will be done here when we click the button. So we have a button for all of them, and it just do some action on button click. But here it's on change, so it immediately when you click on checkbox, it immediately says it's to true. Okay, so if you go here, you will see we have handle check change, and it's getting our value of is selected and changing it to opposite. And here is get items. That is checking which one was selected and then showing them in our console log, like how many was selected and which one exactly was selected. So if I go to inspect, if I go to inspect and select one of them, you see it's the result. So we received one selected, so we just select two, we have two of them, so it's pretty easy. And let's see what we did in Apex for that. Okay, so it's a selection list. Okay, so here we go. We have our get records, so we don't receive any attributes here, and we just returning list of our wrappers. So we just selected our items, and then we created our list, which we, in this way, we just serializing it. So here is a different approach to send it, just to show there's different approaches to send it to JavaScript. So we can send it as a string and then deserialize it on other side. And as you see here, we have our constructors that receive item, receive index, where we know like the number of that row. And here we added few attributes like is selected, and some of them are just fields of the objects. It can be also instant of that object. And it's quite simple one, but as I said, the advantage of that is that you don't overuse your data model. And it can be like different inputs, whatever you want, but just to leave during transaction. And actually, yeah, it goes back to JavaScript. And here you see we do another approach here. It's JSON parse. So we can send objects or we can send like a string. And but idea is still the same, so we iterate through it in our component. Okay, any questions on this?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for sharing these insights. So in the third example, you made use of a constructor, and I was curious if there was a reason that in the first example you did not make use of a constructor, because there were being quite some fields populated there. So was there any reason for that?
So basically, I just wanted to show here that there is like a possibility to do some data change during creation of your instance of wrapper. So basically here in constructor, we can build some complex logics that will do some calculations, I don't know, some combination of data, and that's why we can easily do it here, just inside of a wrapper class. So that's why I decided in this example to do it with the constructor. But basically there is no reason here to use it, so it can be done also without it.
Yeah, okay. I actually like the solution with the constructor. I was more curious in the first example why you didn't use it, because basically the consolidation logic was combined with the construction of the wrapper object.
So it can be inside.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be inside.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like way around, but here it can be without, and they're better to use inside maybe because so. All that only related to constructor, better to put inside, like inside of your wrapper constructor.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only related there, so we will not use it anywhere else. So I agree on this. It's just like just different kinds of examples here.
Nice. And one other question while I'm at it. So we do something.
You want two of them?
One would be sufficient. Yeah, we do something similar, but what we do a little different is that we consider the controller to be responsible for the HTTP request. So it might do. We're an ISV, so it might do a license check in our case. It might do a permission check if a user can do something. And then what we do is we create what we call a factory, which actually constructs the wrapper. Which has the benefit that you are able to use that factory elsewhere as well. So you're not only doing the construction of the wrapper in the controller, but it's in a separate class, so that you could also use it, for example, in a flow action or some other place where you're processing an API call or trigger. Is that something that you consider as well?
Yeah, of course. It's a good approach to use it separate and do it like unified version of it, and you can use it different ways when you are developing it, as you said, like sometimes in flow or in your integration. So it's very, very, very handy. So in these approaches, I will also do like a one together because it's for order. But I didn't want to make demo so complex, and like I want to show it like very easy step by step.
Yeah, makes sense.
But ideal it would be like to have a separate wrapper with different methods, with different constructors inside. One will be for consolidation data, another one will be just for, I don't know, for just response conversion or something like that. And just keep it there with different constructors inside.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
So yeah, thanks for questions. It's a good point, just to pay attention on that.
Thank you.
Any more?
Hi, and thank you for your talk and thank you for the examples. Just thinking specifically about example 2, where you're taking the REST response and turning it into Apex. We've done those kind of things before and kind of seen what's in the JSON and then literally gone and typed out the class and put all those things in. Do you know, are there any kind of tools you use to kind of automatically take those and almost convert them to Apex classes? Or are you going through the kind of same process of saying what could be in there and then typing it out?
You mean like tools that automatically convert from response to classes?
Yeah.
I think it might be some AppExchange products because it's just native Salesforce, right? So I don't think if there's possible to do it outside of Salesforce because it should be inside to convert it to Apex. But it's primitively easy, I would say, just to build structure. But I don't know if it's really possible to do, because you need to have all fields, you need to have all attributes, right, to convert it. It's possible if there are fields like attributes missed, it will still convert, but then you will lose some piece of data, right? And I don't know if there's solutions like that, because I've never met it. Maybe it's possible, but then it's this idea that I got. I'm not sure if it will be possible to change all the time dynamically type like structure of wrapper. So I think it's not possible, I believe, but I never met it. Sorry.
Generally, just adding to your question, like generally we do, let's say, Visual to Apex, but that's a complete different scenario while integration. But with JSON, nothing comes like out of the box, but we have like sometimes created like a extra class which does that, and but that's nothing, how do you say, out of the box or a package, but you have to develop yourself.
You need to put always attributes, right? So you can do very big wrapper class with all attributes and use it everywhere, but then names should be same, as I showed in example. So you need to map to those attributes.
You have to make your own.
Yeah, so that's why I believe such solution in like AppExchange will not work. Only if you just have unified, but just to predict all names and all things is not possible.
So one approach that you might be able to take for that, we actually do it for populating large classes and S-objects only actually in our unit tests, is generate some JavaScript for it that might analyze the JSON and converts it into Apex. So that's what we do for, as I said, initializing S-objects in tests. So that works for us. So could be a solution for that.
Yeah, Yeah, that's true. So we are right now in the middle of Q&A session already. So I think we have already winners, but if there's more questions, so try this one. It should be good. I don't have one, but I believe it should be fine. Yeah, still some questions. Thank you for bringing those to the audience. It was nice. If no, then we will close it up. And thank you all. Yeah, one more. Okay.
Sorry, just one more. In terms of the first example, I see that you were taking the information from the different objects and then putting it, in the end, the kind of, each element of the wrapper class was like integer, string, like really kind of broken down. What are your kind of recommendations against, maybe even putting the objects themselves? Could you do that as opposed to just putting a string? And what would be your kind of best practice around there? Like, is it better to get it as a nice list in the end like this, or yeah?
You mean like this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. It's even better because if you create one more field in your database, it will be immediately here. And then you can only change your component, add it to component. You can do dynamic component with some attributes, so you can configure it via app builder. So you can specify what fields to show. So it will be much better. So in this example, I just want to show that there's like different types that you can use here. But yeah, other sides that you will overuse a bit data, because then heap size, if you have a lot of objects, it will be data that is not used in this transaction, because here you specify like 5 fields and you know that you use only this 5. But if you have 500 on your objects, you will always query them, and it's like two sides of it, so you need to decide.
Okay, since we are talking about data and fetching data from database, I had a classic example of fetching data from database is generally when you query, you get a certain number of records, 50,000 or whatsoever, but it is also limited by the number of characters being returned by the database. So let's say if you have multiple fields which are bigger fields, like having over 30,000, yeah, that kind of fields.
Long, yeah.
Then the number of records that you're going to get from your query would be less, quite less, maybe even less than 10,000.
Okay, yeah, so that's why this approach, it's kind of risky, So, but then it's very unified. You can, do dynamic things there. But yeah, so you need to think upfront what is your solution, why you're doing it, and what in future might appear there. So and decide. If it's small objects and it is not going to be like many fields, then maybe it makes sense. But if it's something like a lead or opportunity where most of the customers, they just have many fields, so it's a bit tricky. Okay, good question. Thank you a lot. It was a nice discussion. Thank you for coming. It was a small, cozy room, but I enjoyed it. So hope this will help at least someone. And yeah, so thank you a lot. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day and your dreaming. Thanks.